The night sky burned red as the invasion began. The people of New Avalon, one of Earth's largest colonies, were unprepared. It had been a peaceful world, far from war, far from conflict. Families lived in towering cities, children played in lush green parks, and scientists worked to push humanity further into the stars. But none of that mattered when the Vorkari arrived. They came without warning, descending from the sky like shadows of death. Their ships blotted out the sun, massive war machines that hummed with terrifying power. And then the slaughter began. No mercy, no escape. The Vorkari were not conquerors. They were butchers. They did not offer surrender. They did not take prisoners. They moved through the cities, destroying everything in their path. Their weapons fired beams of energy that disintegrated people on impact. Buildings crumbled under relentless bombardment. Screams filled the air as families ran, desperately searching for shelter, only to be cut down by the merciless invaders. New Avalon had no army. It had no defense. It was a colony of explorers, scientists, and civilians. They had no chance. By the time the attack ended, 100,000 people were dead. The message of terror. When the Vorkari were done, they didn't even bother to hide their actions. They broadcasted a message across the galaxy, a chilling display of their brutality. A single transmission echoed through every human communication network. This is the fate of all who stand in our way. They thought it would break humanity. They thought fear would keep them safe. They were wrong. The birth of vengeance. The images of burning cities, the echoes of screams, the sight of 100,000 dead. They spread like wildfire. Earth watched, Mars watched. The outer colonies watched, and something inside humanity changed. They had seen war before. They had fought battles before. But this was a massacre. And massacres were never forgotten. In the depths of Earth's military headquarters, generals stood in silence. Their faces were grim, their hearts heavy. And then the order was given. We will not hide. We will not beg. We will not forget. We will hunt them down. Across the galaxy, humanity prepared for war. The Vorkari had made one fatal mistake. They had left survivors. And those survivors would make sure the Vorkari paid the price. The Vorkari believed humanity was broken. They thought the massacre of 100,000 innocents would crush their spirit. That fear would keep them from fighting back. They were wrong. Humanity had survived worse. And this time, they weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for revenge. The underground resistance. Across the galaxy, survivors of the massacre regrouped. Soldiers, engineers, hackers, everyone who had lost someone in the attack was now part of the fight. In an abandoned military base on Mars, a secret meeting took place. Ryan Carter, a former Earth Marine, stood before a small but determined group of fighters. He looked at their faces, men and women who had nothing left to lose. New Avalon was just the beginning. Ryan said, his voice cold and steady. The Vorkari think they've won. They think we'll stay down. He took a step forward, his eyes burning with determination. They have no idea what's coming. Striking back. The first step was information. Hackers infiltrated Vorkari communication networks, tracking their fleet movements and discovering their weak points. They learned the locations of supply routes, hidden bases, and key commanders. Ryan and his team planned their first attack. Not a battle, not a war. A message. The first kill. The Vorkari supply ship Vortex 9 drifted through space, carrying resources for the invaders' next assault. The crew was relaxed, confident that humans wouldn't dare attack. Then, without warning, a single human warship decloaked. Before the Vorkari could react, missiles struck their engines. The supply ship shook violently, alarms blaring. Then the humans boarded. Ryan led the assault, his team moving with military precision. Vorkari warriors tried to resist, but they weren't prepared for this level of aggression. They had seen humans run. They had seen humans beg, but now they saw humans hunt. One by one, the Vorkari soldiers fell. The few survivors were sent back to their leaders with a warning. This is just the beginning. The fear spreads. News of the attack spread quickly. Vorkari commanders dismissed it as insignificant. But their soldiers whispered rumors. The humans are coming. They won't stop. They're hunting us now. And for the first time since the invasion began, the Vorkari felt fear. The first strike was just the beginning. The Vorkari dismissed it as an isolated attack, the desperate act of a dying species. But they didn't understand humanity. Humans didn't break under pressure. They adapted. They evolved. They fought back. And now, they were preparing for total war. Earth's secret weapon. Deep beneath the ruins of old London, in a classified military bunker, Project Revenant was activated. Engineers, scientists, and military strategists worked day and night, piecing together a new kind of war machine. Their goal: to turn the Vorkari's own technology against them. Reverse-engineered plasma weapons were developed, capable of melting through Vorkari armor. Stealth ships were built, using alien cloaking devices to strike without warning. Cyber warfare divisions hacked Vorkari systems, feeding them false intelligence. What had once been a scrambling resistance was now an organized war machine. And they were ready to unleash hell. The assault on Korak 9. Ryan Carter and his strike team received their mission. A Vorkari weapons factory on the moon Korak 9 was producing new plasma cannons that could wipe out entire fleets. If humanity had any chance of survival, that factory had to burn. In the dead of space, a single human warship drifted toward Korak 9. Vorkari sensors detected nothing. But inside that ship, Ryan and his team were waiting. Silent. Deadly. Ready. The infiltration begins. Under the cover of darkness, the humans breached the factory's defenses. The Vorkari never saw it coming. Guards were taken out quietly. Security systems were disabled. Explosives were placed on key power generators. Then the alarms blared. The Vorkari rushed to respond, but by the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. Fire and fury. Rand pressed the detonator. A massive fireball erupted, tearing through the factory, consuming everything in its path. The sky lit up as the entire facility collapsed. The Vorkari fleet, stationed nearby, scrambled to respond, only to be ambushed by hidden human warships. The battle was short and brutal. By the end of the night, Korak 9 was nothing but a graveyard of burning wreckage. The turning point. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer running. They were no longer hiding. They were coming for revenge. And the Vorkari. They had just realized they weren't the hunters anymore. They were the prey. The destruction of Korak 9 sent shockwaves through the Vorkari Empire. For the first time in their history, they weren't just facing resistance. They were losing. Humanity had gone from scattered survivors to a ruthless war machine, striking without mercy, without hesitation. The Vorkari High Command could no longer ignore them. Something had to be done. The Council's mistake. On the Vorkari homeworld, the War Council gathered in a towering chamber, debating their next move. Their leader, Archon, slammed his fist against the table. "These humans are weak," he growled. "They rely on tricks, not strength." General Vesk, a seasoned commander, disagreed. "They have adapted. They have learned our technology. We underestimated them. And now we are paying the price." But Xiron refused to listen. His solution: unleash the Vorkari elite. The Dread Legion, their most feared warriors, were sent to hunt down the human resistance and crush it once and for all. It would be their final mistake. The trap is set. Ryan Carter and his team intercepted Vorkari transmissions. They knew exactly what was coming. So instead of hiding, they did something unexpected. They set a trap. On the frozen world of Veros 7, a former human colony now under Vorkari control, the resistance prepared for their deadliest battle yet. Decoy distress signals were sent, baiting the Vorkari elite into the abandoned colony. Hidden explosives were placed across the ruined buildings. Snipers and ambush teams waited in the shadows. When the Dread Legion arrived, they expected a quick victory. Instead, they walked into a killing field. The ambush. The moment the Vorkari stepped into the colony, the ground erupted. Explosions ripped through their ranks, tearing apart soldiers and vehicles alike. From the rooftops, human snipers picked off commanders with deadly precision. And then, the real battle began. Ryan led his team into the chaos, striking with brutal efficiency. Vorkari war machines were hijacked and turned against their own forces. Human commandos moved like ghosts, striking fast, disappearing before the enemy could react. The Dread Legion, once feared across the galaxy, fell one by one. By the end of the battle, not a single Vorkari elite remained standing. The turning point. The defeat was catastrophic for the Vorkari. Their strongest warriors were gone. Their fearless reputation was shattered. And for the first time, their leaders realized a terrifying truth. The humans weren't just surviving. They were winning. The massacre of 100,000 innocents had started this war. But now, it was humanity's turn to bring the fight to the Vorkari. The destruction of the Dread Legion on Veros 7 proved one thing. The Vorkari were not invincible. They could be beaten. They could be hunted. And soon, they would be eradicated. The plan for retaliation. Back at the hidden human war base on Titan, Ryan Carter stood before his top commanders. A holographic image of the Vorkari war fleet hovered above the table. "This is their main command station, Nexus Prime," Ryan said, pointing to a massive structure orbiting a dying star. "It's where they control fleet movements, where they plan attacks, where their highest-ranking officers hide." He looked around the room, eyes burning with determination. "If we destroy it, the Vorkari will be thrown into chaos." A silence settled over the room. Then one of the officers grinned. "So what's the plan?" The human war machine awakens. In the days that followed, humanity prepared for its largest offensive yet. Fleets of stolen Vorkari warships were modified with human technology. AI-driven attack drones were built, programmed for one purpose: destruction. Elite strike teams trained relentlessly, knowing they would be walking into the lion's den. But most importantly, the Vorkari had no idea it was coming. Humanity had always been adaptable, and now they were using stealth, speed, and sheer fury to turn the tide of war. And then the assault began. The battle for Nexus Prime. The Vorkari fleet drifted lazily around their station, unaware of what was coming. They still believed humans were too weak, too scattered to launch a full-scale attack. Then, out of nowhere, the sky burned. Stealth warships decloaked, launching precise missile strikes at Vorkari battleships. Hacked security systems shut down planetary defenses. EMP bombs rendered Vorkari weapons useless. And then, the boarding teams arrived. Ryan and his squad stormed Nexus Prime, weaving through enemy fire, cutting down Vorkari officers one by one. Their orders were simple: no mercy, no survivors. The end of the Vorkari High Command. Inside the command center, Archon Zyron watched in horror as his forces collapsed. "Impossible," he whispered. "They were supposed to be weak." Ryan kicked down the door, his rifle aimed straight at the Archon. "Not weak," he growled. "Just angry." A single shot rang out. The war wasn't over yet, but humanity had just taken its biggest victory. And the Vorkari, they were running out of time. The massacre of 100,000 innocents had awakened something in humanity, something relentless, unforgiving, and unstoppable. The destruction of the Dread Legion had proven the Vorkari could be beaten. Now it was time to wipe them out. The Vorkari once saw humans as insignificant. Now, they saw them as their greatest threat. The War Council's decision. On Titan, Earth's top generals and leaders gathered for the most critical meeting in human history. Ryan Carter stood before them, battle-hardened and unshaken. A holographic display flickered, showing Vorkari strongholds across the galaxy. "We've hit them hard," Ryan said. "But now we crush them." He pointed at a single glowing red dot, Vorkari Prime, the heart of their empire, their strongest fortress. If we take it down, their empire collapses. A heavy silence filled the room. Then Admiral Hayes, the leader of Earth's defense forces, nodded. "Then let's end this war. Humanity strikes back." The next few weeks were spent preparing for the final assault. Advanced AI warships were deployed, capable of outmaneuvering Vorkari fleets. Cyber warfare teams hacked into Vorkari communications, feeding them false intelligence. The elite strike teams trained for ground combat, ready to take the fight straight to the enemy's throne. This wasn't just a battle. This was extermination. The ambush at Nebula 47. Before reaching Vorkari Prime, the human fleet had to pass through Nebula 47, a dense asteroid field guarded by 2 Vorkari war fleets. They thought it would be a slaughter. It was, just not the way they expected. As the Vorkari ships moved to intercept, the human fleet decloaked behind them, before the Vorkari commanders could react. The void ignited with fire. Plasma torpedoes ripped through Vorkari ships. EMP blasts disabled their shields. Stealth strike teams boarded command vessels, executing officers on sight. It wasn't a battle. It was a one-sided massacre. By the time the last Vorkari ship exploded, the path to their homeworld was open, and humanity was coming. The endgame begins. As the human fleet surged forward, fear spread across the Vorkari Empire. Their leaders, once arrogant and untouchable, now scrambled for survival. On Vorkari Prime, alarms blared. Soldiers rushed to their stations. The skies above their world darkened, not from nightfall, but from the thousands of human warships arriving for vengeance. The final battle was about to begin. And this time, humanity would not stop until the Vorkari were nothing but ashes. The skies above Vorkari Prime were no longer theirs. Where once their mighty warships patrolled the stars with confidence, now they burned, falling like dying embers into the planet below. Humanity had come for vengeance, and they would not leave until the Vorkari were nothing but a memory. The final stand. Inside the Vorkari High Command, Supreme Warlord Sirens stood trembling before his remaining generals. His once mighty empire, which had enslaved dozens of species and wiped out entire worlds, was now on the verge of total annihilation. "How could this happen?" he snarled. "We are superior." General Vesk, one of the last surviving commanders, lowered his head. "The humans," he said grimly. "We underestimated them." Outside, the battle raged. Human bombers rained destruction on Vorkari military bases. Elite ground forces pushed deeper into the capital city, tearing through resistance. AI-driven war machines led the charge, unstoppable and ruthless. The Vorkari, once mighty conquerors, now fought with fear in their eyes. For the first time in their history, they were the ones facing extinction. Ryan Carter's final mission. Deep inside the Vorkari Palace, Ryan Carter led his strike team toward their final objective, the Supreme Warlord himself. They moved through the burning ruins of the capital, blasting through enemy defenses, cutting down whatever resistance remained. As they reached the throne room, Siren stood waiting. The once mighty ruler of the Vorkari now looked like a cornered animal. "You humans," he spat. "You should have been wiped out long ago." Ryan raised his rifle. "Yeah," he said coldly. "Funny. We were thinking the same thing about you." Xiron lunged, drawing a hidden plasma blade. But Ryan had fought too many battles. Too many wars. With a single shot, the Supreme Warlord fell to his knees, clutching his chest. Ryan stepped forward, looking down at the dying tyrant. "This is for the 100,000 you massacred," he said. "One last shot, And the supreme warlord of the Vorkari was no more. The empire crumbles. The moment Chiron fell, the Vorkari war machine collapsed. Their fleets, leaderless and broken, surrendered or flowed into the void. Their once proud cities were now ruins, burning under the fires of their own arrogance. And humanity. They had won. The message to the galaxy. Across the stars, alien species watched in shock and fear. The humans, once seen as a minor race, had not only defeated the Vorkari, but had erased them from history. And then, a final message was sent from Earth's high command to the entire galaxy. Humanity is not to be hunted, not to be enslaved, not to be destroyed. We are warriors. We are survivors. And if you come for us, we will come for you. The war was over, but humanity had just begun its rise to power. The war was over, but victory came at a cost. The Vorkari Empire, once feared across the galaxy, was gone. Their fleets were destroyed, their cities lay in ruins, and their once mighty rulers were nothing but dust and memories. Humanity had won. But what came next? The cost of war. As Ryan Carter stood on the balcony of the captured Vorkari capital, he looked down at the smoldering wreckage below. Human and alien bodies lay among the ruins. Not all had been enemies. For every Vorkari soldier that fell, humans had lost brave warriors of their own. The victory felt hollow, but it was necessary. Behind him, Admiral Hayes approached. "We did what we had to do," she said, reading his expression. Ryan nodded. "I know." He exhaled slowly. But what happens now? The birth of the Terran Alliance. Back on Earth, world leaders and military officials gathered for a historic meeting. Humanity had proven itself, but now it had a choice. Return to isolation, rebuild Earth, and avoid further conflicts. Expand into the stars, using their newfound power to ensure no species would ever threaten them again. The answer was clear. A new banner was raised. The Terran Alliance. No longer just Earth, no longer just survivors. Now they were rulers of the stars. The galaxy watches in fear. The fall of the Vorkari sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Alien species who once ignored humanity now whispered their name in fear. Some sent envoys, eager to form alliances. Others fortified their borders, terrified that they would be next. And in the dark corners of space, new threats stirred. The Vorkari had been humanity's first enemy, but they would not be the last. Ryan Carter's next mission. As humanity expanded, Ryan Carter received a message. A distress signal, not from Earth, but from a distant, unknown world. A new enemy was rising. And this time, the war had only just begun.